back to the Essence of the Soul. Today we are doing a live episode for episode 5, Curious Souls. We had some questions that you guys brought to us, so we will be answering that today and also opening it up to whoever wants to ask questions in our live as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I guess this is like our first time going live too, so don't mind if we're kind of like shy, but we are really excited to talk about some of these questions as well. I guess, do we want to just like pick a random question and I guess go from there?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Okay, I guess we can kind of talk about this one right here where I guess we kind of feel this right now too. So the question is, how do you deal with your anxiety? And I guess that's kind of like how I'm feeling right now too. It's like that excitement of, you know, a lot of people like watching us or putting yourself out there on like, you know, social media. I guess it just starts with like questioning yourself. Like, what are you anxious about? Like, why are you like shy or why do you get scared or whatever it is? And just going from there, like that reflection.
Yeah, I'll say like I'm actually somebody I do deal with a lot of anxiety, but it kind of stems because I went through like this whole extrovert like introvert type of transition where I partied a lot and I was always around a lot of people, and then it came to a point where I started to prioritize like other things like, you know, going to the gym, meditation, things like that were just more intimate for me, so not always, you know, being out in the crowd or at the bars or wherever, you know, people are. So it did, anxiety kind of took a toll on me too, because when I transitioned from being so introverted, staying home all the time, and also just like being in my own space, in my own circle, once I got out there, I was a little more anxious and like, oh, like, I don't know, like, I guess the feelings were just so hard to grasp it all back, especially because I did actually cut out alcohol completely. So because I guess I'm sorry to say it, but yes, sometimes liquor courage can be, can, you know, kind of help you get out of your comfort zone. But it's, you know, like I said, when you kind of go out and like you're in a sober mind and you don't do anything, or you're kind of just out there again trying to be around people again, it's hard to kind of control your anxiety. But the way that I do manage my anxiety, of course, is like literally I have to ground myself really hard with meditations or just like breath work.
Yeah,
feel
I
like that
think
really
breathing
helps.
is like a really big thing to like, you know, restabilize your homeostasis, your body, and, you know, relaxing those nerves, your nervous system.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then Gomeng, to go back to your comment about selling gems and crystals in the future as you continue. Okay, yeah, so
Stay tuned.
stay tuned, guys.
Yeah, stay
That's just a
tuned.
little bit of a hint.
Sneak peek.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a really good question. I'm glad that we did get that question because I feel like that's something like as humans we deal with on a daily basis, and it just comes back down to like remembering like, okay, why do you get anxious in the first place? You know, usually it's because of fear of judgment or humiliation or shame or whatever it is, and it goes back to like, you know, being confident in yourself. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hi, Pa.
Yeah, hi, Pa. Okay, so next question, we can talk about this one. So this is a question for Paris, actually. Since you're in school for holistic health, what do you plan to do with that educational background?
It's interesting because I saw this question. I was like, oh gosh, I don't even know how to answer. But to be honest, so I do think about, you know, holistic health is still kind of an upcoming, it's not really super in demand right now, but I do see myself, well, so right now I have been getting more into like Reiki healing and things like that. But ultimately, I'll tell you, when I started school doing marketing, I told myself that I was going to start a business, and it was going to have to do with like marketing, of course, like business, and then also with some sort of holistic health or products or even crystals. I always wanted to do crystals, so that was like something that I wanted to integrate. From there, I told myself that, once I get there, I'll figure it out. But I will say there are lots of jobs that are kind of out there right now in the Twin Cities area that are very hidden. So I'm still kind of on the lookout for more of like a holistic type of job so I can get my foot into the door. But I would say ultimately, my biggest plan is honestly to just be of service to the community, to do as much as I can to help educate and tell people, what holistic health is, and then do my own sort of healing on the side as well. So from there, of course, you have to start small, but I think later more opportunities will come.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's just kind of going with the flow and see where life, takes you.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. I really like this question. So this question was, what is your strongest clear? And so everyone has, like there's something called the clear abilities or clear psychic gifts that you have. And everyone has like a little bit of like everyone, but like some people are just more in tune with one versus the other. And yeah, I guess we could go more in depth in this in a different episode too. But just like for this Q&A session, I would say my strongest clear is definitely, I have 3, and I use them for different like situations or depending on like what kind of things come up more in my life, I use them accordingly. So it'd be clairsentience, which is, like feeling and sensing energies around you. I am very sensitive to that. And it comes with being an empath too. So me and Paris are both empaths and we can sense energies and feel vibes. And then the next one would be clairvoyance. So clairvoyance is basically the ability to see through like through things instead of like, the physical 3D. So I have a lot of visions that come through when I'm doing, whether it's like readings or like I'm talking to people, like even like my dreams, like in our first episode we kind of touched base on that a little bit. That's how we bonded, was through our dreams. So I've always had very vivid and very like lucid dreams, and that's just kind of how I knew that that's one of my gifts and abilities. The other one I would say is claircognizance. So this is like really interesting to me because sometimes like you just kind of know things without actually knowing them. They kind of just like come through, and then like I guess over time I've tested it and I'm like, oh wow, like I surprise myself too with my own like abilities and my gifts. So these are the top 3 for me, and there's a little bit that I do experience here and there, which is like clairaudience or like clairalience. So clairalience is actually being able to smell like psychically without actually smelling the actual thing there, which is something I discovered like recently, not too long ago. So that was really cool too.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would say, of course, like clairsentience would be definitely one of my strongest suits, which is the feeling, of course, because I'm such a feeler in general. I feel energies like just by walking into a room, just by talking to someone, or just by, I don't know, just reading the energy of the room. And I have this sort of like empathy in me too. I know we were talking about this earlier with the claircognizance mixed with this clairsentience, which is the inner knowing, and then the feeling, right? So mixed together was kind of like clear empathy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so like clear empathy is being able to like put yourself in other people's shoes and understand where they're coming from too. So like I was telling Paris earlier, like sometimes like we do use multiple of our abilities all at once, and it kind of connects like the puzzle, I guess you can say, for us.
Yes, which I love that because I feel like that's kind of where I realize that that's kind of where my strengths lied. But with, I would say clairvoyance too, I've always been a visionary, of course. Like I'm very imaginative type of person. I've always been like that as a kid, and also dreamt my whole entire life. So when I'm in meditation as well, I could do guided meditations or just regular music, like listening to meditation music, and I can see a whole world dimension. Like I don't even know,
You just go into your own world.
A big vision, a big like imagination. So those are, I mean, it's interesting because that's basically the same thing as each other, but
I guess that's why we get along so well
too. But I mean, at the same time, I will say for me it's definitely clairsentience. I can say I feel very deeply, so that's probably me.
Nice.
And then, okay,
Yeah.
next question.
Okay.
If you guys have any questions,
Yeah, put them in the comments. Like, just, feel free to like join into this conversation too, and let us know like what your strongest clear is, like what your gifts and abilities are. We'd like to know as well.
And maybe if you relate to anything, just let us know.
Yeah, of course. So there's okay, yeah, I think we did touch base on this a little bit, but like this question is, how do you ground yourself? So earlier we did talk about how like meditation is very helpful for grounding, as well as breath work, and just like, focusing on your breath and making sure like you are bringing your body back into this homeostasis like state where you calm your nerves, you calm your mind, and so you can just tune into your heart and really listen to what your body is telling you. Some other like really nice ways to ground too is just being out in nature. Nature is a really great way to ground, and especially like being barefoot, connecting to Mother Earth, connecting to your environment around you. Our body, I actually learned this. So our bodies are actually made of, I can't remember if it was like positive or negative electrons or ions, and then the earth is actually the opposite of that. And so like when we connect with the earth and we are two polar opposites, we actually neutralize. So that's why like grounding is so good when you go barefoot. Even just like going out into the ocean and being in nature, like the lakes, and bathing yourself, those are really good practices too.
It's like the deepest connection to source, I guess you could say, because the earth is literally a literal connection. But I will say, of course, like grounding, of course, yeah, we go into meditation, things like that. But I will say, me and Linda, our personalities are very, very spiritual, very bubbly, can be very, a lot at times.
Very up here.
But sometimes, I feel like I had to work on being grounded for such a long time because I struggled with this. But I noticed that I always attract the most grounded people. Like the people in my life, every single one of them are usually extremely grounded. Even, don't get me wrong, I think Belinda, she is very grounded too.
Yeah, I can be grounded when I need to. Mm-hmm. But I definitely did need to practice like grounding more as like you get deeper into your spirituality, because a lot of spiritual knowledge comes through, a lot of wisdom comes through, and you need to be able to ground yourself to bring those knowledge into action, to reality, and really go forward.
Exactly. So, and I feel like this is the first time, like this year, it takes a lot of like growing in the process too, if it is hard for you to kind of stay grounded. But the first time, like in my whole entire life, where I feel so completely balanced, and with both masculine and feminine energies, and grounding myself and also allowing myself to be expansive up here. So, like I said, sometimes I think about it, I don't even know how I got there, but it takes a lot of like situation, struggle, it takes a lot of failing,
A lot of discipline too. Like it's really easy to just want to like, kind of just go with the flow and like, be all up in your head and, all bubbles, rainbows and butterflies. But you have to ground yourself to, really come back into this reality and realize like, you still have work to do. You have stuff to do here. You can't just be in like this magical world all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Which that's usually where I am.
Yeah, it's definitely like our sacred space that we like to be in, especially when you're in a state of meditation. I used to tell Paris like, when I meditate, I just let myself go free, and like my spirit's literally astral traveling throughout, and I'm just like having fun with it. And then she was like, that's exactly what you're not supposed to do. Like that's not intentional, like, at all. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. I do need to focus on ground. That's why like if you do get deeper into meditation, the really good meditations are the ones where they ground you before you go into your guided, wherever they're trying to take you. Which is really important because you're shielding yourself from energies around you too.
Exactly. That is so important. Ground yourself so you can be expansive. That's what I always say.
Yes.
Make sure you're grounded first because you're here on Earth realm first,
Yep. Okay. The next question is, do you experience issues with sleeping or insomnia?
Interesting question. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I can't tell because I'm such a night owl.
You do stay up really late. Yeah,
I stay up really late, and at the same time, I still kind of wake up early too, which makes no sense. Or oh my gosh, I cherish my sleep so much, guys. I really do. But I will say, I guess you could say, yes, I have kind of experienced a little bit of insomnia, and it's not something that like I'm super proud of, but I do think, you know, I've realized I have sort of addictions where my phone could be an addiction.
Yeah, it really is the phone. It comes back to that, and like we can even go deep into like, oh, like the blue light too from your phone screens. You know,
Yeah.
that's so bad for you, and that keeps your mind running all the time. You can't fall asleep because of that. I will say like my issues with sleeping or insomnia. Okay, I'm different, but it had to do with my curiosity. So like I guess like when you're in your spiritual journey, there's so much to learn, and there's so like many interesting topics that you can like get into too. And because like I'm such a knowledge seeker and like truth seeker, I love doing research. And so like it'll be like in the middle of the night and I'll be like, like I wonder what this means, or like, oh, like I want to like learn more about this topic. And so I would just like start researching, and then it'll take me up until like 2 in the morning, and I'm like, wow, I should really go to sleep because my body needs it, even though like I'm so curious and I want to learn more knowledge or information.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Next question. So, how have you learned to trust yourself, your intuition, or your higher self, deciphering from false light or ego? That's a very good question.
We will go into this in probably one of our upcoming episodes, but for me, I guess with the ego is always coming from my reaction towards things. So always thinking that I'm right about stuff, reacting and not responding, and saying things that sometimes I actually don't mean. At the same time, how you can tell if you're following your higher self. I always say it's kind of like an inner knowing, or like your intuition in a sense. Your higher self, like to me, my higher self is like an actual figure spiritually. I don't know, but your higher self is you, basically, the best version, the truest version of you. So the way that you can tell if you're following her is honestly like if you are happy about the path, the way that you're going, the way that things feel. And I think everybody just has different abilities. Like I said, for me, it's the clairsentience. So for me, it's the intuition and knowing and feeling that, okay, I'm happy with this route. I know where I want to be. I know what I want to do with my life, whatever it is. That's kind of how I go into following my higher self, and what basically my higher self, which is me, what she wants for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. I feel the same way too, especially when it's like listening to your intuition. Many times it just has to do with like, oh, what makes you happy and like what fulfills you. And then your ego is usually like, okay, what is it like that you are trying to prove externally, or like what is it that doesn't bring you fulfillment but you do it anyways because of obligations, or the way you were raised, or like the programs that were instilled into you. So that's kind of how I differentiate. Like for me, a big part of it was making money or career, like career, like I said before in like our previous episodes, it had to do with just making money. I didn't care what it was because I didn't have a passion. So this was kind of like my ego talking, where okay, I'm just gonna chase the money. I'm just gonna do whatever that brings as much money as possible, versus listening to what I truly want and what brings me fulfillment in life.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I differentiate. Let us know how you guys do that, because that'll be interesting too, because everyone has their own perspective of listening to their intuition versus their ego too.
Which, I mean, your ego too is definitely like, can do with a lot of like pride or reputation, the way that you want to be seen, or the way that you care about what people think about you. It's all of that stuff, the true stuff that just really don't matter. And I will say, yeah, it's just hard when you are always trying to get your point across. You're always trying to like prove yourself 24/7 to people about who you are, what you want to do, things like that. Sometimes you just have to realize that, okay, I'm just gonna walk away from the situation and, walk with love. And that's really what it is. So
Yeah.
differentiate the higher self with the ego,
Yeah. We can talk about this one. This is a really interesting topic, and it can be kind of controversial too. So this person asked, why do Reiki and Oracle put a huge price on their work when shamans do it for donations? Yeah, so very interesting.
I think going into this, I think about how when we say, you know, like shamans ask for donations, a lot of times the donations obviously are going to their spirit guides who are helping with the answers, of course. When it comes to, like, I tell everybody this, you know, like, make sure that you network and that you know your community, you know who is doing the reading, the oracle reading for you, based on, I guess I can't speak for everyone because personally we don't really charge or do any sort of like oracle readings that are, you know, for our own benefit. But like I said, I will say a lot of the shamans that I have met or have known are very, you know, they have very good intentions, but at the same time you really do have to make sure that you're doing your research, that you're networking, that you are understanding who they are and what their philosophy is. So don't just assume every single thing. And I think, you know, also just know that if you are paying them, you're, in a sense, you're paying them respect as well. Because when it comes to Reiki, so Reiki is different from oracles, because oracle card
tarot
or tarot
card readings,
is card readings, whereas the Reiki is actually energy healing. So these are two completely different things. And I will say, you know, having two different sort of modalities,
they use different techniques. There's different like
yeah,
ways to go about it, and like some, like, you know, like let's say like for doing readings and stuff, there's different ways of doing it. Some people actually like require joss paper, you know, to do a reading for you, or like specific like items that are needed to give to their spirit guides in order to, you know, give you guidance. So I guess like yeah, we specifically won't know because like we are not there yet, but like just based on what we've experienced, there's a lot that goes into it. And if you are curious, like, you know, you can always ask, you know, yeah, like, oh, why do you charge a specific donation for this, or, you know, whatever it is, there's always a reason behind it. Yeah,
for sure.
but yeah, hello everyone that just joined. We're doing a Q&A. Let us know any questions that you may have in the comments, and we will like respond to those. We are going through some questions that have been given to us from our previous post that we posted the other day. But yeah, we're opening it up to any questions you may have as well.
Yes, let us know.
Oh, this is really fun. This person asked, would you ever consider doing healing retreats for Hmong women? I think that would be really fun to do in the future. But one thing I will say is like, we wouldn't just do it specifically for Hmong women. It would be very inclusive for all people, regardless of gender, regardless of race, or whatever you believe in. As long as you align with like us and you want to learn something from us and we have something to offer you as well, we'd be happy to, you know, host a session like that. That would be really fun in the future.
Yeah, I think it's just all intention. You know, at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that you guys are healing with us and that we all kind of get something out of it. So it's not just, you know, specific to one specific group, I'll say.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a comment.
Let's do one on the live. We haven't done that yet.
What has been one of your most profound spiritual epiphanies, synchronicities that you've experienced or learned? Okay, give me some time to think about that. I mean, I think it's
there's
hard.
so many too.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah. I think like just off the top of my head, the biggest like most profound spiritual epiphany was when I realized why we're all here. I think that's the biggest one that people awaken to too when they have a spiritual awakening, is realizing that we are all interconnected and there's, you know, a connection between each and every one of us. Even you people that are watching us on this live right now, we are crossing paths for a specific reason, whether it's for you to learn about our experiences so that it can help you, or like, you know, us impacting you in a certain way as well. Just, I guess, yeah, it's a really like, it sounds very simple when like you are spiritual, but like for someone that, you know, wasn't spiritual at first and learning this, it's like, wow, like even the people that like I, you know, don't really resonate with, or people like I come into contact to, like we have some sort of connection or like a contract or agreement or whatever it is. It was really eye-opening. I think the biggest one too was our synchronicities, and that's exactly how this all started too. That was one of the biggest ones for us, in realizing, oh yeah, like we are connected through soul agreements. We're part of the same soul family, and that's how we reconnected, and that's why we resonate so much, and that's exactly where we are now too.
Yeah. I think one of my most, so there's a lot, but I will say that one of my most awakening, I guess you could say epiphany or whatever it was one day I sat with myself and I asked myself, like, oh, I started questioning a little bit of my existence here. I started to ask, like, where am I going to go in my life? What am I going to do? What are my purposes? What is important to me? But I think most of all, I realized that this physical realm was almost like a test. I think for me, what I'm trying to say is that basically here on this earth realm, I realize is just sometimes like it doesn't even, like the emotions, the feelings that we face, it doesn't even really exist. Because when I was younger, I always had so much emotion, so much feelings, like so much questions about life and why is there duality, and why do we have to make money to survive, and why can't we be happy, and why is there racism, and why is there like pain and war happening in the world. And those were the types of things that I questioned myself until I had realized that these emotions and the feelings that I'm feeling towards myself, towards the people around me, towards the collective consciousness, I guess I just kind of realized that it doesn't really exist. If you dive deep and you awaken, what really exists is just the frequency of love. And that's why, for me, I was like, okay, I'm just going to stick to what I, follow, what I lead by. And I'm like, live in love, because, even though these feelings, I have them a lot, they're really just temporary. They don't last forever. And I think that was something I had to like awaken to, was that there's actually a whole bigger existence than just me and my own thoughts and my own
the
feelings.
bigger picture.
Yeah. So that was probably something I had to really awaken to, was basically, I don't know, like the Matrix is just
Yeah,
a test.
it really is, and it's there for a reason. It's there so that we can learn what we came here to learn too.
Lessons for
You
us.
only go through the things that you're meant to like learn from.
And I think realizing that, everything that we go through, we signed up for ourselves,
And that's the hardest thing to come to a realization too, because it's a very deep truth too.
It is. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Have you ever caught yourself mirroring someone else? If yes, how did you go back to yourself? I think this question is kind of like stating, like, have you ever kind of like been around someone so much that you kind of like started to become like them? And like, how did you come back to yourself?
Okay, yeah, no, that's a good question, because I feel like a lot of our energy sometimes can be very influenced by certain people.
Yep.
And I was actually just talking to somebody about this the other day, but I was thinking to myself that, oh my gosh, like, when I'm around this person, this is actually how I act. And when I'm around this person, I'm more, calm or whatever. And I realized that this is kind of how you have to learn how to differentiate who's good and who's, might be toxic in your life as well. And even if they are toxic, you could just keep your distance. It's okay. You don't have to do the whole, like, fighting thing. Yeah. But I will say, I guess differentiating it, I realized that after I would leave this person's house, that I would feel so low vibrational, or I would feel so like, oh, I just feel so like negative, or, it was draining. I feel drained now. But honestly, and it's because as empaths too, you do kind of absorb those like energies. It's an energy exchange, and some people are just energy vampires. You know what I mean? Yeah. They drain out your energy, and it could go both ways as well. But I will say too, I always say this, like surround yourself with people who have like-minded ideas, who have goals for themselves, who want to share these things with you and just want to speak about things that are on the high vibrational frequency. And don't surround yourself with people who just want to talk about other people and be negative and want to, just dwell on the past or other people or whatever it is, because those types of people will definitely drain out your energy. So it's important to just stay cautious and, protect your energy at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think so like how do you come back to yourself, right? When you're in a state of mirroring others, I think it comes back down to remembering who you truly are. Like, is that who you are? Like the person that you're mirroring or you're trying to copy or whatever it is? Because if it doesn't feel like you and it doesn't bring you fulfillment or joy, that just, means that that's a part of your ego too, that you are, facing into of mirroring other people. Connecting back to your higher self and your authentic self is really important too. And even being able to sense that, like, oh, why do I feel negative or why do I feel different? That's already being conscious of who you truly are, because you know that that's not how you usually feel. Like, it's off, it's like different. I will say that cleansing your energy is a really big part of spiritual hygiene. It's important because, when you're constantly around negative energy or environments that don't really benefit you or make you feel like not the best version of yourself afterwards, usually a simple spiritual hygiene practice is, going to make a big difference. And I had to do that when I started awakening. I was very sensitive and vulnerable to different type of energies around me. Big part is distancing yourself. And when you're not able to distance yourself or take yourself out of those environments due to several factors or whatever it is, it just comes with building and learning how to protect yourself, shielding yourself from these energies. And it comes with not engaging in it. When you engage in something, you have an energy exchange with that, and you're going to be taking that type of energy in. Cleansing your energy, whether it's through sage or Palo Santo, or spiritual ritualistic baths or showers. And there's even egg cleanses. There's multiple different ways you can cleanse your energy in order to release that and come back to yourself and connect to yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Really good questions. I really like this one question. So it's actually a question for advice. So a question for advice from one of our viewers. I'll kind of read a little bit and then we can go off of it. So this person would like our advice in, a situation that she's going through right now. This person has a very empathetic 10-year-old boy who is very aware and transparent about his emotions, but lately he is having trouble processing and expressing his thoughts. As a parent, how do I create a safe space for my child so that he can open up about challenges they are facing? Can you please share with me how you overcome barriers with your parents and how you learn to have open and healthy conversations with them? Can you share that with us in hopes that as a parent, we can learn from you? I appreciate any advice you can give. Thank you. Thank you for, trusting us with, this question. This is a very personal question. And as a child myself for my parents, I would say, us being empathetic people, I think we did have these same kind of experiences too with our parents, where it was kind of hard to voice how we felt or be vulnerable with that because our parents didn't really understand mental health, like we've mentioned in the past too. The biggest thing is getting your child to be comfortable with you, creating a safe space that they can trust you. And that starts with the everyday things that you are doing to connect with your children too. It's not just a one-time thing and then they trust you from there on out. You kind of have to build it over time because trust is not built overnight. It takes time.
I think one thing I always tell people is know your child's love language, because you could have let's say, for example, my mom, she has 5 kids, right? Me and my 4 siblings, I guess you could say, 5 of us. And each of us have a different personality. Each of us reacts differently. Each of us feels comfort differently. like for example, like some of like one of my, I would say like maybe my brothers or my sister, they would probably be more comfortable with just, you know, getting a hug and not talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, like with me, it's like I really have to express myself, and I want my mom and my dad to like speak with me and talk with me and respond to me and like make me feel safe. And like it's just everybody just has a different way of like their
Feeling
love
loved,
language.
yeah.
Yes. And even for me too, sometimes it's like the words of affirmation, like, you know, saying like, oh, you're doing such a good job, or I'm so proud of you, things like that. I think it's important because once you start to do that, then your kid will kind of look at you and be like, oh, you know, like my mom or my dad or whoever it is, they do acknowledge me and they do care for me. Or acts of service, right? Like doing things for them. But in a sense, that could be a little bit controversial a little bit too, because I understand the day and age that we do live in right now. But I will say too, I feel like just understanding where your child's comfort lies, because a lot of children, they just have completely different personalities and their brains are not developed obviously to understand you as a parent, to comprehend you if you are like yelling at them, or if you are you know, saying things to them that in a way that they don't really understand. Or, you know, I guess even, you know, when it comes to disciplining, you know, some kids, they take those things differently as well. So
Exactly. Yeah, I think a big part of it too is learning to, I guess, truly listen to what they have to say, ensuring them that whatever they have to bring up to you is valid, or, you know, acknowledged. That's a big part, because when we don't acknowledge our children for what they bring to us or express to us, and we like either like, you know, brush it off or like say something that, you know, might not have came off the right way, that loses their trust, and over time that trust gets lost, and then, you know, they don't have that sort of comfortability to even come to you for like situations that, you know, you might want to be a part of in their life.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
it's all about emotional availability at the end of the day. Yeah.
I mean, and I will say, just do your best. There's no such thing as a perfect parent, perfect person, or anything like that. I definitely have so many, you know, siblings with children, and I learn from them and I hear all of their stories. And I will say, there's no such thing as being perfect. So just continue to do whatever it is that you do, and be the best that you
Try
can.
your best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah, that is really it. Like that's the best you can do, is just being open-minded and caring, loving, nurturing, and, you know, whatever else, just leave it up to kind of like fate too, because maybe there are some things that you two are meant to go through together
Yes,
too.
for sure.
Okay, what are your thoughts on synchronicities or coincidences? I like this question. I feel like it is kind of like a heavily debated topic, but I personally think that there's no such thing as coincidences. A lot of things that do happen coincidentally is meant to happen. And I guess as you kind of go about your life too, and you reflect on those coincidences, you'll start to realize, oh wow, like those were actually meant to happen, because if that coincidence never happened, I would have never been here, you know, or wherever you're meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I do kind of believe in the same thing, because I do see like those who show up in my life, like we always have some sort of like synchronicity. It's really just about being aware. So if you don't really have like awareness where you're paying attention to every little detail or thing that's happening, you'd be surprised. Like I always say, the universe makes no mistakes. The universe is so intelligent. There just like literally the infinite amount of things that are meant to happen, and the calculations, like the mathematics, everything behind this, like literally the whole core of spirituality all comes down to mathematics. And like I said, the universe makes no mistakes. But like I said, like Linda said, it can be controversial, because a lot of people do question, you know, like if there's no such thing as, you know, everything happens for a reason, then why did these things happen to me, and they're not positive things, they're negative things, or they are just things that I don't feel deserving of, you know what I mean? And that, like I said, like it comes towards, you have to really learn how to kill the ego and come to an understanding of, okay, you know, this thing happened to me,
But how did it make me become a better person?
right?
Yeah.
Or not even just that, but like, what about, like, what is it that my soul needed this to evolve? And I mean, you can even get into like some of your past lives or things like that, like repeated lessons, things that you might have to go through. You know, it's all just like in the whole mind body healing. So
Yeah. I will say one thing too, that kind of connects everything in, that allowed me to understand like these coincidences or synchronicities better, was when I got deeper, a little bit deeper into astrology. So I kind of learned how astrologers are able to kind of calculate fated days in your life, or like some events that might happen in your life during specific points in your life, whether it's like a specific day in the year, affecting like different planets that your sign is going through, or whatever it is. But yeah, like I did go back to the days that impacted me a lot, which was like, you know, the year I woke up, and like, I guess another awakening that I had not too long ago. And I kept track of these dates because they meant a lot to me. And I didn't think about them too much until I went into like my chart and did some more research in astrology. And yeah, like those specific dates showed up in my chart. And it was crazy. It gave me goosebumps. Like, wow, like I didn't even know that, you know, our lives really do tie in and connect so deeply into even, yes, like the stars aligning. And like Paris said, like it goes deep into mathematics, where it's literally the specific degree that your sign is in for astrology that can affect you in different areas of your life, whether it's, you know, your career, whether it's your ego, your personal identity, or like your internal self, your emotions, whatever it is. I guess like, yeah, just doing more research on that allows you to really open yourself up to more knowledge too, that can help you understand these synchronicities in your life.
I feel like this is not questioned, but going into astrology too, a lot of people are probably thinking like, oh my gosh, like I'm just like this because I'm this zodiac sign or whatever it is.
It's not even like that. It goes deeper.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, like, there are real people out there who do like real deep research, and the reason why you think that way is mostly because of what the society has created for us to believe in astrology, which are these stereotypical, you know, like Pisces are crybabies and Geminis are two-faced, and you know, Scorpios are like mysterious, dark. It's like all these like different stereotypes, and the truth is that that's not really what it is. And I will say this because it's just Western astrology. It's just what we hear in America, you know, or even just in general on social media. Like we come up with all these jokes and memes, and we just basically, we just forget about all of the sacred knowledge. And I will say, like, you know, some people will be like, oh, well, I'm a Pisces and so-and-so's a Pisces and we're different. Like we have nothing in common. And there's so much more zodiacs in your chart. I mean, in that too, like I am a Pisces sun, but I have no more Pisces in me. Like everywhere else I have other signs.
Yep.
And that's why I might be different from a different person who's born from March, you know, to April or whatever.
It's like, you know, two Pisces are not the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's just kind of like, I just wanted to put that out there because I think also if you go to the Eastern side of things, they call it Vedic astrology. This is where they really deeply learn, especially like in India. And the dates are different. They're more seasonal, I guess you could say, whereas like here we're kind of going off of, well, actually I think Western is seasonal and then the other one is Vedic is tropical. So it's kind of based on like the different times as well. So everybody's just different, but we have to think about, you know, Eastern, Western societal norms, like what types of things that like, what did we make up? We like, that was all kind of like made up so that we can make fun of the sign, you know what I mean? But really it's like deeper, and they are actual just signs that kind of go, they have histories behind it, stories, myths, everything. It's so deep. It's beautiful too. So yeah.
Hi everyone
Melissa.
that just came in. Yeah,
Yes.
we are getting really caught up in questions, so sorry if we haven't gotten the chance to say hi. But yes, this is also for our episode 5, Curious Souls. So we are recording as well for our podcast.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, yes, feel free to put them in the comments. We're opening it up to any type of questions you may have, whether it's about us, about a topic you're curious about, maybe like conspiracies, even whatever you're interested in. We'd be happy to answer that to the best of our abilities. Yeah. But yeah, we're just going to keep going down the list of questions we've gotten from our posts the other day. So this is a really interesting one. What are your thoughts about how this, like, I guess, spirituality ties to the Hmong culture and animism/shamanism?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like going back to like the spirituality episode in episode 2, I do talk a lot about how in spirituality we're all connected in one. And I will say with animism and shamanism, which is very similar in a sense, you know, in animism, you really honor the earth, you honor nature, you honor life itself, you know, whereas like in shamanism, and I want to also put this out there, that shamanism is also very universal. It is not just about Hmong shamanism or, you know, a specific cultural. There are different types of shamanism, and even if you think about the Native American culture, also practice shamanism or even animism as well. Some Hmong people too. Some Hmong people, you know, practice animism as well. But I will say that, you know, the interconnected between all of these is just realizing that we're all connected. You know what I mean?
Literally every single religion. It doesn't even matter like if it's shamanism, Christianity, or whatever. If you dive into what the core root of each religion is, it's that we all believe in a higher power. There's more to us than just our physical bodies. There's something that we, like, you know, there's somewhere that we go to after, like, you know, life, you know.
Right.
There's a lot to it. So I do believe that everything is tied in. And specifically, shamanism itself is a healing modality, you know? So it does tie into like healing our spiritual side. And so, yeah, of course, it has a lot to do with spirituality because you're healing your spiritual self.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe in a little bit of everything. I believe that there's truth in everything, but there's just a bigger truth that, you know, each religion doesn't go deeper into.
And the language is just different as well. So it's just like when you are, you know, Christian or you're shaman or you believe in, you know, Buddhism, you know, whatever it is, you just have different terms. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not actually different, but that's what causes us to be and live in a division. That's why you see a lot of cultures or in the world, like I'm talking worldwide, a lot of people will divide and they will also literally, you know, kill each other, go to war just based on religion, when really there's no such thing as division and everybody is all connected in one. And we live in love. And that's just something that I think people don't really see. And it's just that we call it different things and we have different terms for different higher powers, and that's okay, you know.
Yeah.
So Melissa asked, you guys talk about astrology, but just curious if you also believe in Chinese zodiacs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, like, you know, being spiritual, like, you're open to everything out there and just realizing that everything is connected, whether it's astrology, Chinese zodiacs, numerology. There's so many different, like, areas that, you know, we have gone into, and yeah, they all resonate and we believe in them.
Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting. I haven't like dived deep into Chinese zodiac, but yeah, I am the year of the snake, which will be next year. Linda's dragon which is this year. So, yeah, I don't know if you like. I always say, if you believe, you know, then it's true. If you don't, then it's okay. You don't have to. So
yeah, I agree with that.
And it's fun. You know, astrology is fun at times as well. So.
I love astrology, Chinese zodiacs. It's so fun to talk about and like so fun to learn about too. And interesting how like each zodiac has, their own little things that they are good at or their downside. And then specific years, like, specific zodiacs have to watch out versus like some zodiacs have more luck or are more, I guess, abundant in some years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So really interesting to talk about. Yeah, if you guys are interested in zodiacs, we do plan to talk more about like astrology, numerology, and those topics in our future episodes. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We can go in depth.
For sure.
Okay, so this question is, how does your spirituality influence having to make big life decisions? Well, yeah, I think it plays a big part because, like, when you get into your spirituality, you have to learn how to tame your ego. And taming your ego comes with being okay with not chasing money or like materialistic things that don't really mean anything once you're not here anymore. And so I think a big part of it has to do with connecting with your true authentic self, your passions, what you want to do in life, what brings you fulfillment and satisfaction. And that does play a big part in your life decisions because it's basically going from what you have known so much up to this point. And when you have your spiritual awakening, you basically do a 180. You start to realize like, wow, like I don't align with these things anymore that I thought that I used to align with. And then you change into like a whole different path that you're meant to go on to. So yeah, it does play a big part in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely agree with all of that. And I think another thing too is a lot of people might think, well, in life, I really need stability. And I really, like, just because I'm chasing the paper, doesn't mean that I'm egotistic. Of course not. But I will say, make sure that whatever it is that you're doing wholeheartedly at the end of the day, because that's kind of where this whole spiritual side of things kind of takes place. And when it comes to like my spiritual journey and how it affects my decisions, I don't think that it's that because I'm spiritual, like it changes like the outcome of things. For me, when I think about spirituality and the connection, it's about guidance. It's about having that inner knowing, that this voice, my higher self, my spirit guides, angels, like this whole spiritual team, like literally behind me, and behind all of us, by the way, because we all have spirit guides and we all have, these people, spirits working in our favor. So I feel like in that sense, you have to remember that basically your spiritual journey, yes, playing a factor in your big decisions, also comes towards what sort of guidance you're being given without actually physically seeing that guidance. And in a sense too, I will say, just listen to yourself. A lot of us, I can't speak for everyone, because I do know like some people are more like they follow their mind and some people follow their heart more. But I think at the end of the day, it's about balance, to be honest. Like balance your heart and your mind. Like, yes, follow what you love. Make sure that you can take care of yourself at the end of the day. And a big thing that I will put into play too is, yes, we do pick our own poison. So if you care about fulfillment, you might have a downside. If you care about money, you might have a downside. It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you are confident and happy with your choice and your decision in life. When it comes to spirituality, like I said, it's really just about the guidance that you're being given.
It's a tool. A tool to help you in life. It's basically like a cheat code if you do like understand it, if you go deeper into it and you acknowledge it. But like at the end of the day, like you don't have to be spiritual to reach your purpose in this lifetime. Your purpose is all about just your self-fulfillment and satisfaction in life. Like how fulfilled are you? Does what you do bring you happiness and fulfillment? If you were to leave, would you have any regrets?
Exactly. Yeah, so
you girls are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. So sweet.
Yeah, so sweet. Let us know any questions you may have in the comments. Open to anything. I guess we'll just keep going. I do want to do a cheers. It is a Sunday. Maybe some of you guys might not have work tomorrow, so you guys can cheers with us. We're doing non-alcoholic drinks today. But I finished mine already, so I'm gonna do a refill. But yeah, we'll be right back.
A little break. But yeah, let us know in the comments if you guys have any more questions, anything that we said that you might want clarification, things like that. So just let us know, and we can get back. Yes. I'm thinking like I might want water. I'm not like the biggest like sweets type of person because I feel like it just gives me a headache.
Yeah, she doesn't really like to drink drinks too much, but I don't know, I just like to sip on stuff, like especially staying hydrated. So if you guys haven't taken your sip of water today, take a sip of water with us or whatever you like to drink.
Which I'm like, I feel like the only thing I can drink is water. It's the only thing that doesn't make me feel like anything. It makes me feel good. You know what I mean? Just makes me feel like, oh, I needed that.
But this is really good too.
Yeah.
It tastes like I don't know if you guys have tried this Hmong method for hangovers. I'm not hungover, but it's like that water with lime and then a little bit of salt. That's usually what like my parents used to drink for hangovers. It's so good. Cheers! Cheers!
Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. What do you girls think of the difference of Reiki healing modality and shaman healing modality?
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
So I will tell everybody this because everyone has access to Reiki, to be a radio receiver to Reiki, the universal life force energy. There's histories behind this where back then they actually were saying that only gifted people can obtain Reiki. And Reiki is ultimately energy healing. This is, not just something that I've done on the side, but also something that I learned in school. Mm-hmm. So in school, in holistic health studies, they do teach you about Reiki or energy healing. Reiki is a type of energy healing. And I will say, when it comes to the Reiki healing side of things, it's just coming from your hands and you're given that energy coming from the universal life force. So when you can call upon the universal life force and you ground yourself and you can feel energy through your hands and you are intentional, then you can give that energy off to other people. And in that sense, I will say, because I am also an empath, I can feel energy so deeply, so intensely that it can be very almost like shaky, or as empaths, you can also feel the energy, the blockages between each chakra. So let's say like if I was doing Reiki on somebody and I noticed that they weren't speaking up, my throat could be blocked as well. Mm-hmm. So in those moments you can kind of feel that, but be intentional, allow yourself to heal those people. And if you are receiving Reiki, I do want to say and put out there too that every Reiki practitioner is also different. They do things uniquely because in Reiki, there's no such thing as right or wrong. You can't heal a person in the wrong way. And you can't really like mess up, I guess you could say. You have your own way of doing things. But at the same time, I feel like with Reiki, you have to give it a few days as well. So once you receive Reiki in the healing, give it a few days, because once you receive the Reiki, you're not going to, you're not just going to wake up and be like, wow, I'm healed. You know what I mean? Yeah. So in time, allow that to refocus itself and just let it just warm in slowly, and just notice the changes as, you go about your days, your weeks, and things like that. And be intentional. Reiki practitioners will ask you about what's going on and things like that before they even work with you. And if you are wondering what is Reiki, by the way, Reiki, like I said, is just energy healing, healing through the hands. So a lot of people will just do Reiki just by
sending energies through your hands.
Yep, through each chakra, balancing each chakra. So
I would say, I think each healing modality has its own purpose for different areas of, healing that you need in life. For Reiki healing, like you said, it's about balancing your chakras and, unblocking anything that might be allowing your chakras to be open and healthy and balanced. versus whereas shamanism is more about healing through, your spiritual side. So like, I guess, I mean, I'm not like an expert in shamanism, but I'm pretty sure they can do both. And the biggest thing is like, if you were to, your spirit's lost or you need to call your soul back, whereas like Reiki, like maybe it's not going to be as impactful. Like a shaman can literally, they are the medium and the bridge between the spiritual world and the physical world, where they can literally go into the spiritual realm and bring your soul back. So I would say like, that's very helpful to like have too as a healing modality. So they all play like their own different roles. No, one is not better than the other, like it's all about what do you need to heal. Yeah.
And we do also go into this whole like old age and new age shamanism too. And everybody's abilities are also different, like before when I was still kind of learning more about shamanism, I like to see it as like there were, these healers. Well, all of them are pretty much healers, but protectors and then also messengers. Some people are just meant to receive messages, whether that's through their dreams, through clairaudience, hearing stuff, or just whatever sort of messages that they are able to give to both sides. It's interesting how everybody has their own sort of niche, I guess you could say.
Niche, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like their own sort of skills and abilities. And that goes with all of us, like there's not going to be the same shaman, like each shaman has their own special skills or abilities or gifts, and it's for a specific purpose. Just like how, like you said, every Reiki healer has their own way of doing things too. It's all about finding the right person to fit your needs too.
Yeah, for sure.
So great question. I really like that. Okay, next question. I want to talk about this one, which is, tell us about a time when having the spiritual gift was a double-edged sword. This is a really interesting question because I've heard this line before where it kind of goes, a gift can be considered a blessing or a curse, depending on like how you perceive it. And so yes, like, if you know how to utilize your gifts in a way where it'll be beneficial to you, then it's good. You fall on the good side of the coin. But then the other side where you're not able to like really control like when to use your gifts yet, or how to protect yourself because you're sensitive to energies, or how to sense these things, or like what people think about you, or like you can hear like stuff like that, or see stuff even. It can be like a double-edged sword where it's like a curse. You can see as a curse where like, oh, you get scared because you can see ghosts, or like, oh, like you get sad or depressed because how people feel towards you.
Yeah, I will say, yeah, you basically touched on the whole gifts and things like that. I will say also, sometimes it's just simply not having anybody to understand what you are going through. Like you might be going through something that other people don't understand, and it causes you to be lonely. It causes you to be misunderstood, judged. A lot of people, they will come at you, attack you, they'll make fun of you. They'll do things that, are testing, of course, your soul, but at the same time, I will say, just on the other side of things, it is definitely just it's hard to just find one person to be there for you.
Yeah, or like will understand like what you're going through too. And it's usually people like who are maybe experiencing the same things, or like are on the same journey as you, that will understand. Yeah.
Those who cross your path are just meant to be.
Exactly. Okay, this next question is, what was your spiritual awakening moment, and how did you know it was your awakening?
Okay, so I will say
I think like when it comes to your own personal spiritual awakening, it is very personal, because usually like people go through different things, whether it's like a dark night of the soul before you awaken, or it's like some people, it's just like all of a sudden it's like a switch and they just wake up.
Right.
But I will say that I knew it was a spiritual awakening when I started questioning and like going through reviewing my life in a way where like, oh, like I said, is this really all there is to life? you know. And then you start questioning, like, you know, your beliefs and like the things that you've been raised up with up till now, and you start realizing like, oh, like actually that was a very like closed-minded way of seeing life.
Yeah. I think for me is okay, let's go back.
How did you know it was your awakening?
Okay, yeah, of course, it's the questioning and everything too. I went through a very spiritual experience within myself, self-discovery, things like that, and a lot of purging, of course, like purging old energies, and just awakening to the things that life has brought to me or has taught me throughout my time, I guess you could say. And when I realized it was my awakening was when I can't even explain it, but if you are, you know, on the same journey as me, you come to this point of, oh my gosh, going back to what I said, you know, feelings, like the way that, you know, my ego is, the way that my ego's reacting, this anger, frustration, sadness, like pridefulness, insecurity, perfectionist, right? All of these things are just not real. And that's kind of when I realized that I awakened, I guess you could say, because when I awakened and I realized these things, for me, it was just knowing that now I only walk with like love. Like, I don't walk with anything. And I wish, like, all those people, whoever it is, you know, like, whatever it is that I've gone into arguments with or disagreements or just things like that, you know, I've never been the type of person to be like, hey, oh my gosh, like, your karmic wheel is coming for you, you know, or your karma's gonna come hit you and blah, blah, blah. Like, I was never that type of person. For me, I realized that, wow, this is a true awakening because I wish you nothing but love.
Yeah.
Even though we clashed, you know? And at the end of the day, you kind of have to realize it's like breaking out of your ego. When you have the ego death, is almost the same thing as your awakening, because you start to realize like these things, they don't even matter, you know?
Yes.
And I think that's basically when I knew, like, okay, I definitely awakened, and then everything started to flow in, the abundance, the way that I followed my truest path towards something that I was extremely passionate about, and at the same time doesn't make a lot of money, but helps a lot of people, you know?
Yeah. And that's what brings fulfillment and satisfaction in life. It's just being able to be of service to humanity.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think I like how you brought up ego death, because I think that's when I really realized, like, oh yeah, like I'm going through an awakening right now where literally everything that I identified with that like made me proud or like happy, you know, and like things that I wanted to share with others because it had to do with, you know, status, reputation, or whatever. And all of that just came melting down. I'm like, actually, I'm not like anything like that, you know. I'm not my career. Like, I could lose my job tomorrow and I wouldn't even be that no more. I can lose, like, you know, this body and I won't be Linda no more. It's not even about these physical things. It's about like the inside, like who I truly am and what do I want in this you know, in this reality. So I really like how you mentioned that. Spiritual awakening, I feel like you just know when you're going through it. Like, if you're questioning if you're going through an awakening, then maybe it's, you know, you need to do some more reflection on that. But I feel like a spiritual awakening is usually like very profound, to the point where like you start having a lot of questions yourself, and you start being able to connect a lot of dots together. But when I awakened, it was like my mind was about to explode, because there was so much knowledge and information and downloads coming in through the universe, and I was just like learning so many things about not only like I guess, like, you know, spiritual information, but myself, and how like everything in my life has connected up to this point. And so that kind of like was my awakening. And we don't just go through one spiritual awakening. We go through multiple spiritual awakenings. Like, it's a journey. It's a never-ending process. There is no destination. So you're going to continuously go through them. And sometimes it'll just be like, you know, small ones where like you'll learn like new information, and it'll like be like an awakening, like a enlightenment moment where it's like a light bulb. But then sometimes it'll be like very drastic where it'll literally shake your life up. It's like a whole death and rebirth transformation. So yeah, they're all like part of the journey, and you just kind of have to go with the flow and see how your journey plays out.
Yeah. I mean, your spiritual awakening is not going to be a beautiful journey either. So remember that, because you have to go through darkness in order to see light.
Yep.
That's just duality. That's what we do here on earth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why usually people say, like, before you have a spiritual awakening too, you go through an ego death, or like your dark night of the soul, where like you start to see like the shadows in your life and the parts of yourself that needs to be released and changed before you can even become this more enlightened version of yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, if you guys are still tuning in, let us know. We'd love to engage with y'all. I guess it's more exciting and more fun too when we get to connect with you all. So comment how you're feeling today. It is, I know it did snow here in Minnesota like just the other day. We really thought that it was going to be summer soon, but what did you say it's going to be in the 70s sometime next week? Oh, no, I think someone told me that. That's my boyfriend did. She's like my second boyfriend.
Yeah.
I see her second to him, but...
Is it really going to be 70? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Next week or sometime in the next 2 weeks, it's going to be in the 70s. So finally get to, have some vitamin D, some sun. It'll be really nice.
For sure. Okay.
I think that's it. I think we answered all of those questions. I don't know how long we've been on live for, but yes, we'd love to interact with you all. But if you guys don't have any more questions for us, we will probably wrap it up soon here too.
Oh, I do actually want to mention one more thing, because I know if you watched the spirituality episode, I talked about this this book. So the book is called The Little Soul in the Sun. It's a children's book, which was about how two souls basically want to go back to Earth, reincarnate back to Earth. They ask God, and one of the other souls says, he'll volunteer to be the enemy or the person in their life to teach them something.
Yeah.
And then they come back, or they go there in a state of amnesia. They come back and they evolve basically. And I know a lot of people, I feel like when I was telling this story, a lot of people were saying that, oh, I'm not sure, it sounded as if it was like a very Christian story or whatever it was. But I realized that I had this whole like realization that, okay, even though I said God, then people automatically
thought it was Christianity.
Yes, corresponded with Christianity. But if you think about it, do Christians believe in reincarnation? So then why would God send them there to reincarnate back? You know what I'm saying? So I think ultimately what I'm trying to say is that every belief, religion, whatever it is connected in a sense, but we just use different terms. So it doesn't matter if you're not Christian, if you don't believe or understand what that story is trying to say. I just want to say, like, don't overcomplicate it. It's mostly just saying that sometimes we have conflicts with people. It doesn't have to be your significant other. It can be your friend. It can be your sister, your brother, your parents, whatever it is. And a lot of times it's because they decided to play that role in your life. So when they decide to play that role, it's beyond a consciousness that we can't see. It's like them hurting me or them saying something that was triggering to me is ultimately them doing shadow work on me. So, think about like when somebody triggers you, a lot of times it has nothing to do with them and it has everything to do with you.
Because why does it trigger you?
Yes,
Yeah.
It triggers you. You're reacting. You're not responding. You can't think. You're saying things that you don't mean.
Yeah.
It's a lot of inner reflection. And when we are in the heat of the moment, we can't comprehend that. And a lot of times, like I said, we come to Earth, we are in a state of amnesia. We don't remember the sort of contracts that we have before coming into this Earth realm. So the story with the two children, it is a children's book. So it's not like any verse or in the Bible or anything like that. Actually, it might be. I'm not sure. Don't question me on that. But I will say that it is genuinely, it's just a children's book. And when you read it, yes, it says the word God in it, which sounds very corresponding to Christianity. But at the same time, like I said, remember that, I mean, honestly, the universe is God.
Creator is God, source is God.
Yes, we are literally our own universe within. If you look like as above, so below, perspective is everything. If you go into your own soul, you have a whole entire universe within already.
Within your body. And we are literally inside of the universe right now.
Exactly.
So we are a part of the universe.
But we are actually a tiny little dot.
We are the microcosm in the macrocosm.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of clarify that story because I know a lot of people kind of correspond, like, Christianity with this whole thing. And I feel like if you want to, correspond with Christianity, that's great. If you don't, then, I hope you see it at a different level where it's at the same time connecting with other sort of beliefs that you may believe in as well.
Yeah.
But it is very complex to understand too. And like I said, I feel like if you haven't been on this spiritual journey, then it is hard to understand just because I always tell Linda, like, spirituality is truly a language.
It is. Like, I guess, like, the deeper you get into it, the more you kind of just know what, they're talking about too. But if you're not there yet, it's okay. If you're hearing this right now, maybe it'll click for you in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when it's time. But, like, a big part of it too is just being open, expanding your knowledge, your mind, and, one day you'll understand too.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so I guess, like, we don't really have any other questions. So we'll just kind of, like, hang out for a little bit. If you guys don't have anything for us, then yeah, we'll probably hop off here soon. It was fun coming out here and being live, being able to communicate and connect with all of you.
Yes, our very first live. We're so excited about this.
Spirituality is sometimes something we understand but cannot be put into words. Yes, because a big part of it too is an experience. It's a feeling. And if you haven't gone through it yourself, it'll be hard to understand because a lot of the stuff that happens spiritually is not something you can see with the naked eye.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I feel like I'm learning this right now in my classes because we're doing research right now. So I've learned that if you look at the research out there on, let's say, shamanism or spirituality, things like that, or mystical experiences, right? There's not much research out there because nobody can really put it into words.
And how do you prove it? Because it's not something you can see too.
And you can't measure it either. So, I mean, if you think about it, yeah, these things are definitely tough and they're hard, but we learn by experience and we learn from other people's stories and we learn by communicating, And I will say too, like, the reason why there's not much research out there is because a lot of researchers, they would rather stick to the side of safety, using things that are reliable, things that they know that they can actually see, that they can actually test and study. Whereas spirituality, yes, you cannot really put it into words because it is so expansive. Everybody has different experiences. Everybody has different feelings, emotions, thoughts, just philosophies in general.
Yeah, I agree. I will say as technology is advancing, we are getting closer to there, but I think it just hasn't been researched enough. Kind of like metaphysics, and like quantum physics. So these are very like interesting science topics that are diving deeper into how spirituality can be conveyed in terms of scientific evidence, which is really interesting. And yeah, and even like somatics, right? Somatics, which is like, the study of sound and how frequencies and sound can affect, humans and us and how it affects us. And that's a big part with like, in spirituality, sound healing. Sound healing can help us heal like our cells, literally regenerate and reconfigure our DNA even. Yeah.
There's so many modalities, guys, that it's just infinite, I feel like. And we do kind of live in a world full of control, and we have to learn how to kind of break free from that, and collectively heal each other in the best way that we can. Just because I feel like being in the program that I'm in, I've realized so much stuff. And I think the biggest thing is there is a whole new future, and we are now in the rotation of Pluto being in the sign of Aquarius. So right now there's lots of innovation, there's lots of helpers, volunteers, people out there that are, kind of wanting to change the way our community works.
Do you girls think there is a Hmong word or way to describe Reiki to older Hmong folks? I don't know. Maybe you might know more, but like you can tell me what word and I'll tell them in Hmong. Yeah. Like what kind of word would you describe?
Just say I'm like, just say like healing with your hands.
I don't know if there's a term for it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, well, being like someone that's not that 100% fluent in Hmong too, it'll be hard. It'll be hard. Like, I know enough to like speak and like, write and read. But I think like, Hmong words, there's just so many different words that they use to describe different things too. And even some like Hmong words, there's no Hmong word to like describe certain things. Like, like how do you even say that?
Yeah.
Like Reiki itself, it's like not even a Hmong word too. So you have to describe that in itself.
Yeah, no, and it's also not even in English either. So Reiki is actually, in Japanese. So in a sense, it's all just language. But yeah, you can say, I guess, whatever comes to your mind. But actually, side story too, because when I got Reiki done, I was actually my cousin who does Reiki, she was like, she's also very clairvoyant, so she can see as she's like doing her Reiki on me. And like when she got to my feet and she was like infusing Reiki into my feet, she was saying that, oh my gosh, like I kept seeing your grandma, which actually we have the same grandma, by the way. And she was like, yeah, I kept seeing grandma, and like she was like, what are you doing to her? like what are you doing to her? Like, I don't understand what this is.
Yeah.
And she was just telling me, by the end, she was like, yeah, I don't know, maybe your grandma or our grandma is one of your spirit guides too, because like she just kept like trying to be so protective of you and saying that like why are you doing this? I don't understand what this is supposed to do or help her with, basically. And when she got up to my crown chakra, she said that she saw my grandma appear again, but this time she was happier. And she was kind of like, she asked again, like, what are you doing? And my cousin, actually, she did respond in Hmong, but basically what she said was, oh, I'm just helping her. Yeah, that's it. It's simple as that. I'm just helping her heal, or I'm just helping her get better, or whatever it is. And so in that moment, then I, she was telling me like, yeah, and then grandma responded, and she was like, okay, as long as you're helping her, you know. And it's just interesting because I felt like that was kind of like one of those
language barrier. And even spiritually, like that's so crazy how like your Reiki healer had to experience that, where she had to communicate with your spiritual grandma what she was doing.
Which is just and it's funny too, because I guess you don't think about that,
I guess like, I mean, I'm just trying to put myself in like the perspective of your grandma as a spirit, and just like seeing like someone like going around hovering you and like doing that. I would be curious too, like, oh, what is that, like what are you doing to her? Like, and how are you connecting with me at this time too?
Right. Yeah, no, actually. How did you just like get the ability to see me? Yeah. Like, I'm right here, Yeah. And yeah, that was amazing, crazy. But it's really cool.
Yeah. I will say one thing that I really like too is getting my aura photo taken. That kind of helped me see my spirit guides, actually. So like when you get your aura photo taken, like there's like the specific camera that they use that can I guess kind of sense the electromagnetic frequencies. Kokong or kokong shite.
Oh.
That's funny. Okay, that's I guess that's a
Oh.
good way of like explaining it.
Thank you, Sinya. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good way. But yeah, I was speaking of like these cameras that can sense your electromagnetic frequency and like display your aura color. So I have gotten my aura photo taken and I was able to see like, my spirit guides appear. And then I had this white bright light right next to me right here, and it had like a violet pinkish color around it. And my aura reader actually told me that means like, there's a spirit next to you, and it was my grandma. And so he's like, yeah, like I'm sensing a grandmother figure like with you, like she's one of your spirit guides, she's protecting you, she's with you. And I was so confused because I was like, I don't know, because I still have both my grandma here. Like I didn't know what he was saying. And it didn't connect the dots for me until later on. I was like, oh my gosh, like how could I have forgotten? My great grandma was basically the last person to pass away in my family. So she's with me and she protects me and she's there with me, which was really amazing. So
Yeah.
I will say like your aura has a lot to do with who you are too, and it can actually like tell like what kind of person you are depending on the colors, and the colors are associated with each of the chakras. So if you learn about like the chakras and what like each of them are pertaining to, you could kind of tell like, okay, you have this certain aura, that's the type of energy you vibrate at, and those are the chakras that are more open for you. So me specifically, my top 3 chakras have always been more open and balanced and aligned, versus where I have more trouble having to balance my lower 3 chakras, and that's what we're talking about, grounding, grounding, confidence, and that creativity.
Yeah, and I will say your aura is changing every second. Literally, your aura doesn't stay the same, and it's just energy. That's all it is. It's really just energy moving around you, and based on your feelings, the way that you intake food, the way that you intake, like if you're drinking alcohol every day or you're doing drugs or whatever it is, it can pick up. The colors will show based on your energy, the way that you're taking care of your body as well. And
Usually like if you have a lot of like toxins that you've been ingesting or putting into your body, you're around a lot of negative energy, your aura will be actually very muddy. Like it's not very clean colors, and it's hard to actually kind of differentiate each of the colors too, because they'll kind of be like all over the place.
Yeah. So make sure if you go get your aura photo that like you are
clean, you're eating good, you're feeling good, meditating.
I will say too that I do want to give a shout out to the aura reader,
Bobby Sullivan.
Yes. You could just search up his name. His services are all there.
He's so good. He's also a psychic and a medium. He not only reads your aura, but he also like allows you to dive deeper into like who you are, give you guidance on who you are as an individual. And yeah, he's accurate. Like he can literally like pinpoint year, like a specific year that you probably went through that changed your life, and he'll be like, oh yeah, I see that you went through this with this person in this year. And I'm like, how did you know that? I don't even remember the year, but that sounds right.
He's very detail oriented, and he is just a very strong, passionate psychic. I will say he is just different from other aura readers, because a lot of times you can go get your aura photo.
They just read the color to you. They don't have the, I guess, ability to actually like read you and give you guidance.
Yes, and it's not even that they're going to read the colors. They're going to give you a sheet of paper and say, here, go off this paper, which will also work in a sense. But I'm just saying, I wanted to give out a shout out to him because I feel like he dives really deep, and he's also just
very gifted and talented.
He's worked for years, and he doesn't only do aura photos. He does a lot of different other services as well.
Past life regression.
Yes.
Multiple different things.
He does Reiki as well. He does even exorcisms, things like that. He's very, very, very spiritual person. So just wanted to shout him out. He's great.
I do Reiki, but I don't know how to explain it to my mom, so she called it Kukong as well. That's so funny. Kukong is interesting. I guess Kukong is kind of like magic in a way, in like Hmong terms. I guess you could call it that. Kagong. The one thing is like, oh, what's his name again?
Oh,
Bobby Sullivan. Yeah, so he's actually located in Anoka.
No. He's located in Hopkins.
Hopkins? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're
But
very close.
I mean, you can
Yeah.
literally just Google the address, or it's
yeah,
on his website.
he has a website that you can, I think, schedule on there too. He has like a calendar. But yeah, he's really good. Like, he allows you to do like couple ones too, or like if you have a friend that you want to do an aura photo with. I got one with my boyfriend, and it's so amazing how like we had two different auras, and but when we were together, you know, our aura is so beautiful. It's like a whole rainbow, all the colors.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Oh yeah, but going back to like magic, it's so interesting because I feel like everybody just has their own definition of what magic is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, controversial. You can go about it how you please, I guess.
Yeah, I think I kind of wanted to talk about. So you're very passionate about holistic health and, you know, like herbalism, natural remedies. I was literally just having a conversation with like a family member yesterday regarding like pharmaceuticals and how, like, you know, as mental health is becoming more prevalent in our society, you know, if you just go to your doctor, you know, your family physician, they usually just like ask you like, okay, what's your experiences, what are your symptoms, and then they hand you a prescription. You know, there's not really like a root cause. It's usually just like a band-aid that's put over it, and then as soon as, like, you know, you're off the medications, you feel exactly how you felt when you started, or even worse, you know.
I mean, I'll say, like, kind of getting into more of like the healthcare field, you'd be surprised. A lot of physicians, I mean, sorry, not trying to be a whistleblower, I'm just kidding. But I think there's this part where I've learned that these physicians are actually trying to steer more into the holistic health side of things because they've realized that a lot of the pharmaceutical way of healing is not working. And you can kind of see this in all research. This is really not whistleblowing, because I think about it like when it comes to cancer patients, for example, right?
Yeah.
Nobody has found a cure for cancer.
That's what we think.
Right. Which at the same time, okay, let's not get into that. That's going to be very conspiracy. But at the same time, like, I will say my point is getting into holistic health. Like, a lot of these doctors are now coming to holistic practitioners and saying, hey, my patient is not getting any better. This radiation is hurting them. Their mental health is hurting them. And, you know, with these patients, they experience these feelings of grief for themselves, and that's what causes depression, anxiety. They feel hopeless. They feel like they can't, like they don't understand why they deserve this or why this happened to them or whatever it is, which takes on a mental toll. So when it comes to holistic modalities, whether we're talking herbal medicine, we're talking Reiki healing, we're talking meditation, therapy, anything like that, I feel that this is a route that a lot of doctors are starting to seek out, because the more medication and the more temporary like healing, the pills, the I guess you could say, you know, things that are being injected into you, right? Like all of these pharmaceutical chemical drugs that are happening and like getting out there, the radiation, like all of this stuff. I just feel like, you know, they continue to do it, and they have this temporary fulfillment, but eventually it doesn't cure anything. If anything, it actually hurts the patient, and it makes them feel even
side effects.
Yes, more side effects, weakened, you know, because they are consuming things that are not supposed to be
consumed.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying is you kind of have to awaken from that as well, because a lot of times we don't want to believe that, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing out pharmaceutical medicine. I do say that if holistic medicine is not working for you, then yes, please go and seek a doctor for help, a professional doctor who, yes, can prescribe you something.
Or can cure you. Yeah.
But at the same time, you will see there are lots of patients. The cancer patients was just an example, but there are lots of patients who deal with mental illnesses, right? And they have to go into the holistic field of, or side of things because they're like, yeah, you know, I tried everything on the whatever the doctor recommended me. It didn't work, so I'm trying something new. And I realized that after so many years, all I needed to do was do breath work, like sit and meditate.
Or like just to like heal from my traumas.
I just needed to talk to someone.
Yeah.
I just needed like
A therapist.
yes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and like these pills, like they prescribe like pills that are supposed to treat your depression, your anxiety. But what does that do? You know, other than it calms you down for like 3 hours or 4 hours.
And then you gotta take it again.
You gotta take more intake, intake,
And then not only that, it has side effects of like some people have said like, oh, depression, not depression, what's it called, like gaining weight. Yeah, gaining weight, and then like, you know, side effects of being tired or drowsy. I've heard a lot of symptoms. And yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you get rid of like that depression, but then now you're gaining weight, which causes more depression. So like, what does it help with, you know?
I think I also want to clarify what holistic health is because people don't really know what that is. And I think when you hear the word holistic health, like some people kind of correspond it with it's herbal medicine. It's actually not just herbal medicine. If you want to get into herbal medicine, that's actually herbalism or the naturopathic route, where they talk more about natural herbs and things. But with holistic health is actually the mind, body, and spirit connection. So when you are, let's say, a holistic practitioner, you see the patient and you ask them like, you know, these questions that are deeper connected to the mind and the body. Whereas you will see these like more like the professional doctor, pharmaceutical side, they'll be more on the side of what types of like side effects you're feeling. How old are you? How have you been like sexually active, right? Like things like that. But I think when it comes to the holistic side of things, we have to ask things that are very mental, you know, like that are deeper within. And a lot of patients, they don't get asked that. And I understand that everybody has a different sort of comfortability, but that's also when you are in that type of position, you have to follow protocols, things like that. And at the same time, I think when it comes to holistic medicine or holistic healing, it's all about your mind, body, spirit connection. So when you can connect the mind and the body, then the spirit becomes happy. And when your spirit is happy, then it affects the way that your physical body reacts. And I mean,
there's a lot of research that already proves that holistic health works too. You know, like psychology has a lot to do with, you know, your body too, your brain functioning, and then it reflects on like how you feel mentally, you know. And then not just that, but spiritually, it can affect you, you know, mentally and through your physical body as well. When you're spiritually sick, you know, it reflects on the spiritual side before it reflects physically.
Exactly. So just be mindful. And honestly, you know, I think when it comes to holistic health too, like you don't know until you try. So if you do have, you know, something out there that maybe you're struggling with, you're dealing with, whether that's a physical illness, a mental illness, or emotional, you know, unavailability, things like that, I just feel like don't be afraid to explore the other side, you know, like
don't be afraid to explore different options, seek help in like, you know, other areas that might be helpful, like different healing modalities even. I know that like even like you know, other different ethnicities are now looking into shamanism too, you know, which is really amazing to see how people are opening themselves to being healed. And if you really want to be healed, you will be willing to open up to different, you know, methods too.
And by the way, this is like throughout history. Like this is not just something that is just happening. Like this has been going on for decades, and like since caveman era. I mean, if you think about it, you know, I always say like our ancestors were way more advanced than we will ever be, because a lot of them had the inner knowing of like how to heal just through like medicine that they find and medicine that they can put together, instead of, taking a bunch of different types of chemicals and putting it into a single capsule.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, is that you really have to look into like what are the types of molecules and the things that are inside of this little tablet, because at the same time, you look into the natural, the herbs, and you can kind of tell which like what each herb is good for. So yeah, don't forget that this has been a long and coming like thing. It's just been very forgotten, and a lot of times it's because of our technologies, our advancements, and the field and everything. And I will say it is very great and it's amazing, and either way, I think just seek as much help as you can, and whatever you need for yourself, then do that for yourself. You know your body best.
I want to talk on like this ancient wisdom, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that is starting to become big, it's nothing new. It's just like people rediscovering like wisdom that has been lost over time, like you mentioned. And specifically like back in the old days, if you were to like even share this type of wisdom or knowledge or these abilities or gifts that you have, you will be burned at a stake for it. Like, people will call you a witch, people will call you crazy or delusional, or that you're a monster, and just say all sorts of things. And I mean, like, look at us now, even today, like there are still some people that will like view spirituality as that, but
less harsh consequences.
yeah, exactly. And so that's why like it's not it wasn't talked about or like carried on for many generations, because people were scared. People were like killed for these type of like knowledge and healing modalities. And so now that we don't have those type of restrictions as much, that's why more people are starting to become more vocal and open about like these things and helping others with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I would say like even shamanism itself too, there's still a lot of like discovery with like shaman teachings and like wisdom, because it's not like something that is easy to just share too, and some things are you're not able to share too, depending on like your spirit guides, or if you're allowed to, you're able to. But yeah, there are more people that are coming out more and like spreading their knowledge and wisdom, and it's really interesting because it allows us to like connect everything together and be more open-minded, and just really acknowledge things for what they are for too.
Yeah, I feel like just making sure that you can honor those who have paved the way for us years before this. I feel like it's good to acknowledge, it's good to send prayers, like prayer is everything, and I think in the field of spirituality or witchcraft or whatever you want to talk about, even shamanism, like you said, like people were punished for these types of beliefs.
Yeah.
And it's not something that, of course, like I guess we deal with like in this day and age as often, I'll say, but I will say, just remember to honor those who have paved the road for us to even share this knowledge with you all, and for us to pave the way for the future generations so that they can all have knowledge, wisdom, and not be afraid to speak up for, what they believe in, what they believe is right, the collective consciousness. So just remember to always be kind, be empathetic to everybody's beliefs. Like, nobody's right, nobody's wrong. I always say, within this podcast, we want to make sure that if you don't agree, we are totally okay with it. If you do, we get it, So
yeah, like for sure, this is a safe haven for all souls. Like we have been, since day one, been saying. We're open to your perspectives on like the topics that we talk about as well, and we hope that you are just as open to like our perspectives too, just sharing knowledge and different perspectives from each side, allowing us to expand our mind, our consciousness, and being able to see from, different sides.
Yeah.
Bid 5. Okay, I guess we're bidding tonight. I think it has to be a little more expensive than that. $5 is not enough. But yeah, it's been a really interesting conversation today. It's very insightful, very eye-opening, and just, being able to talk with you guys has been really fun too.
Yeah, it's been about 2 hours now, so
Yeah.
thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Hopefully we answered your guys' questions on, the Instagram or Facebook link, and then also just you guys on the live. But yeah, thank you so much. And Komeng, yes.
Practicing for when you start selling gems and crystals. Yeah, stay tuned.
If you watch this episode, then you have a tiny little
sneak peek.
Yes. So thank you, Komeng, for bringing that up. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. We're so happy.
Yeah, we were so excited to come here. Thanks for watching and tuning in. And if you stayed this long, you are a real one. We love y'all. Your support does not go unnoticed. It's very appreciated, and we're so grateful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, y'all. We love y'all.
We love y'all.
Bye. One last cheers before we turn off.
Oh yes. Cheers.
Cheers.